I've always wanted to go to Karachi, which is one of, if not the biggest city on the planet.
It is. It's over 20 million people.
You just came back. You were there earlier this year, weren't you?
I was, man. It was kind of an emotional trip for me because, you know, my heritage is Pakistani, you know, speak Urdu at home and very much part of my culture. But when I was growing up here, sometimes, you know, I was made to feel like I wasn't really British or, you know, like didn't really fit in. And so the first time I went to Pakistan, where I had a memory of it, I mean, actually the first time I went when I was 2 to get circumcised.
Wow.
So that wasn't the best memory I had, you know what I mean?
I mean, you don't want to see that on TripAdvisor, do you?
You don't, yeah. I was like, I went back when I was 15, I was like, OK, I'm really going to fit in here. Because, you know, I mean, really, the way I'm dressed today is a tribute to how we dressed on Eid, you know, Shalwar Kameez with Reebok Classics, basically. Walking down South or Broadway, waving a flag, shouting Pakistan, when you've never really been. So I went there, and I was like, OK, this is going to be it, it's going to be amazing. And I was like, OK, I do not fit in here.
Yeah. Why not?
I really
Why
don't.
not?
It's because I'm a Londoner. Do you know what I mean?
But is it the way you dressed, or was when you were speaking?
It was more the fact that I was stuck on the toilet for 23 hours a day. It's hard to make friends from the seated position. Yeah. And so after that, I was like, you know, I came back and I was a bit like, you know what, Pakistan's not for me. I don't have a connection to that place in that meaningful way. And it was healthy in a way because I really started to realise that actually, for those of us who are often made to feel like we don't fit into Britain, we don't fit into this place, or we don't fit into different social circles, it's on us to try and carve out that space and feel comfortable in it. And that's really what's driven a lot of my work as an actor and a musician. So I became more comfortable with that kind of mixed identity, you know, London Stani or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And then when I went back to Pakistan this time, I went with no expectations, didn't put any pressure on it. It's kind of like how, you know, if you go into a relationship with no pressure, it goes a bit smoother, it's a bit more chilled out.
Yeah, you don't build it up in advance, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
A high point for you? What was the kind of highlight of the trip?
The high point was when the army arrested us for trespassing onto a military base.
Well, hang on again.
No, but wait, just wait.
Once again, that's not a TripAdvisor review I want to see and say, I'm going to Karachi.
Maybe not. Well, they didn't arrest me. They kind of like said, listen, you got to come with us because you're not... You
shouldn't be here.
You're not... Actually, it was quite a metaphor for the whole thing. They were like, you're not really Pakistani, you don't have a Pakistani passport. So they kind of took us into this kind of little holding area and see, Pakistan's an unexpected place. A lot of people see the news and they'll be like, oh, you know, it's just terrorism, Taliban, all this stuff. That is a problem there, but also, like, poets are held in such high esteem there. And throughout the Middle East, so, like, the X factor in the Arab Gulf isn't pop idol, it's poetry idol. That's how big it is. Poets fill stadiums over there.
Really?
Yeah, so when I told them I was a rapper, they were like, what? I was like, yeah, no, I'm a poet. And they go, all right, then show us what you got. So I basically had to rap for my freedom in Karachi to be released by the military intelligence. And so I did a freestyle. There's a good pun in there about dropping bars. But basically, yeah, once I rapped for them, they were like, actually, that's pretty good, you can go. So let me go,
That's amazing. So presumably you're going to go back. You're going to go back to Pakistan in the near future, I would have thought.
Maybe, hopefully, yeah. It's actually kind of like my trip there really inspired the new music that I'm going to be putting out, which is solo, coming out the start of October. The track's called Mogambo.
Mogambo?
Yeah,
not
exactly, yeah.
Mogambo. One final thing. I guess when you were a kid growing up, there wouldn't have been a lot of actors who looked like you in roles on TV unless they were, you know, in small parts. I guess you didn't have that much kind of representation or that much that you saw that gave you the hope that you could be an actor, you could be a star. Would that be right? Yeah,
kind of, but I think we also got to remember that there was a kind of... there were always people that paved the way. You know, people like Sanjeev Bhaskar, Meera Syal, Art Malik, you know, so many kind of amazing actors out of India. So there's always, you know, people you can draw inspiration from, but hopefully that carries on changing and diversifying. And, you know, Lily's been such an amazing voice for young women to be able to look up to and say, actually, I can speak my mind. Gemma, who's going to come out in a minute, she's in that hit film, which has totally changed things in Hollywood in terms of what can be a hit film. So for me, I think that this issue isn't so much about, oh, I want a piece of the pie or my people want to get a taste. It's actually a success for all of us. You know, when a young woman gets to speak her mind and celebrate for it, it's a win for all of us. Yeah. If Crazy Rich Asians does really well, it's a win for all of us. So it just brings us all a bit closer together and we recognise each other within each other. So, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Amazing speech. And a beautiful talent. I can't wait to see you in the movie, and I hope you come back. When you've got the solo material out, will you come back and perform for us?
Absolutely, yeah.
And, of course, that offer goes to you as well, Ellie. So anyway...
Unbelievable.
Really?
Unbelievable.
It's just that we're a hip show, Jason.
No, of course, I understand.
The fabulous Riz Ahmed, ladies and gentlemen. There he is.